It's great, actually. Do you know what, Lee? Make a really good point for the news like this. So, what I'm going to do is ask you a couple of those again, but I'm going to record it this time. So, for everyone who's now watching, this is Chris bugging Lee after work and one of our normal weird little chats that we have. But we covered some interesting points, and I think it'd make an interesting thing to share on the news. So, I'm going to ask Lee a couple of questions, and we'll get his hot takes on. He's had a practice run of one of these, but I thought we'll stop this and record it before we go any further. So, what I've just asked Lee, the first question was Christmas approaching. What do you think is going to be the biggest risk that people need to watch out for this festive season, other than like too many mince pies?
Uh, so for me, Chris, the biggest risk isn't mince pies. It's going to be pigs in blankets. I absolutely love savoury things, but unfortunately, they make sweet love to my waistline. On a personal basis, I think it's going to be some of those too good deals that you're going to get from websites, ones that have got no heritage, organisations and people who are doing drop shipping. Yeah, just for example. Now, are these people looking to just collect payment data? Will you get what you've ordered, or are you just going to get like an old soggy tea bag? I don't know.
Or get nothing at
But
all.
from a,
Yeah,
or nothing at all. Yeah, absolutely. But from a business perspective, I think those last minute changes before people break up for the festive period is always a risk. I'm a big believer. I think we should put a change freeze on all before we go for jingle bells, so we've got availability all the way. But on that point too, as well, don't forget to do those end of year backups. And most of all, do them early whilst you've got the time.
and
Keep
test
them
them.
offline, test them, just in case you're going to be away for a period of time.
Yeah, I probably see that more than anyone because obviously backups in the DNA of what I do within Solutions PT, and the amount of people that just don't test them, and then when the proverbial does it the fan and something does go wrong, suddenly find out the very very hard way and expensive way, it's not working. Yeah. Well, actually, you touched on something that's an interesting point there. Um, like when everyone getting packed up ready for that kind of festive season. I know for myself, I'm working less days in the office now on that run up to Christmas. A, because I've got a lot of work to do, but also you've got like deliveries. I need to be in for Amazon. I need to hide all the presents before the kids get in. So me, I'm sure like many other people, is not doing as much time in the office and I'm working more remotely. So if you had to pick one thing for doing that secure remote access properly, um, getting people access to site, what would be your top thing to watch out for?
Uh, I I I have some concerns regarding remote access, and I speak about this in some of the training that I've done. That a lot of organisations, when they went into the pandemic, rushed into putting remote access in. The question is it suitable still? I'm not saying that it isn't, but maybe you just want to make sure it delivers exactly what you want to. That being said, again, I wouldn't rush to put something in before Christmas unless it's absolutely urgent. You get yourself away from the office, for a period of time. The last thing that you want is a new system that's put in that might just be a recipe for disaster. But talking of that, if you have external facing devices, those that are internet facing, please make sure that you get those patched before you go away for Christmas. It's a great time for anybody who's a cyber criminal to be poking around systems whilst you're tucking into your turkey. Don't get yourself stuffed with mispatches. It's one of those really, really easy things to fix before you go away.
To be fair though, you make give some really sage advice on points of that before, which is make sure you've got good backups. If your patches do go wrong, you can recover quickly. Because it's not
Correct.
the case of if sort of like cyber attacks happen. Like people are human; they make mistakes as well, and Windows can fall over because it's a Tuesday afternoon. And if you've got a good backup, you obviously can recover it quickly, can't you?
Yeah.
So the less time you're
Correct. Yeah.
spending in the office recovering things, the quicker you can get home to the turkey and the presents and everything else. So
Yeah. And the family.
yeah, family as well. Yeah, you had to put that in there, didn't you? So, I mean, we touched on it very briefly before. I mean, I've seen some today alone around like loads and loads of scams going about this time of year coming through email, particularly like these parcel delivery ones. Is there anything anyone can actually do to prevent these kind of things getting through, or how do they become more aware of what's a scam and what's real? Because the time sensitivity of getting Christmas gifts delivered before the cut-off date or things sent, people tend to let the guard down a bit more this time of year, don't they? Around
Mm.
sugar, so and so is not going to deliver this present or this parcel before a certain date, and I really need to get it here, and maybe more open to potentially falling for some of these scams. I mean, what would be your advice to protect people?
Uh, I come from some simpler times when we used to go to the high street. We used to go do some shopping. We went into shops, actually bought things, supported the high street. I mean, that is obviously one very, very simple thing to do, but we can't get everything that we want from the high street. So we are going to be ordering, from online suppliers. Trying to track those from multiple sources, that is a bit of a challenge. I mean, speaking for a friend, of course, he actually, orders from all sorts of different places. But if I was buying stuff from Amazon, obviously I would try and track it directly from there. But then you still get the couriers that are going to send you the odd link through, which, you may be expecting, you may not be. Uh, you can try and hover over the links. Hopefully, they'll go back to the sites that you're expecting. Uh, it is difficult when it comes into a mobile phone
Mm.
because you can accidentally click on that small screen. Uh, Personally, I would try and go back to the sites and see because you're going to have an email that's come through from there, and hopefully be able to track it that way. My concern is those packages that you might not be expecting. Somebody else in the family might have possibly ordered it, or you suspected that they have. You obviously get a link that comes through to it. You think it's for me. We need a small shipping fee, £2 to come and deliver it. Something like that. Really suspicious. It's gonna cost you more than £2. They're gonna probably empty your bank account. So just be really, really careful out there.
Yeah, no, consider. I mean, it could be an age thing, but for me, if I'm doing a big purchase, I dig out a laptop. I won't do it on my phone. I don't know why. Small stuff. It's like I need a replacement cable, something like that. Yeah, I'll do that on the phone. But if it's more than 50, £60, I'll log on to the computer and do it properly. I don't know why. I don't know why. Just something in my brain's trained me that way to do it. Um, but present's been an interesting one. I guess like I certainly my kids getting new tablets and stuff this year, and I'm sure they won't be alone in many thousands of people getting new tech and stuff like that for Christmas. Any things that people need to be aware of in like personal devices and new tech being purchased that could potentially get into sight, anything like that? Is that a concern?
Uh, from an OT systems, I mean, trying to keep OT systems safe. Uh, Change freezers, obviously that we've talked about. Patching VPNs, is another. Uh, Jump boxes, if you've got those from that perspective, those are something which you can probably treat more like an IT device and an OT device. Making sure antivirus is up to date, things like that is something which is very easy to go ahead and do. Uh, from a perspective of a enterprise admin as well,
Mm-hmm.
uh, tracking yourself on some of these websites that haven't been pawned, from what Troy Hunt actually goes and does. That ties into, when you go into Google or you go using Chrome and it says your password's been breached. It's just tying into that database so you can find out whether, something has come out. And likelihood is it's going to be from a website that you've gone ahead and subscribed to. So that's probably the approaches that I would probably take to try and get that kind of sort of like that pot closed down.
I guess there's probably some good practice advice there as well around not using the same password on every single website. Is that I guess
Uh,
that's like a security 101 is don't use the same password everything because if one gets breached, they've all been breached. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. I suppose keeping it festive. What's on your naughty list for this year? What do you think is the biggest thing that you see organisations getting wrong? And from my perspective, again from a backup side of things, like we talked about earlier on, people just not taking the backups or not checking them and not testing them or God forbid, putting all eggs in one basket so that like the servers are in the same server and the backup device is in there, and then the replication box in the same device in the same server room as well, and it's all on the same power system. And you see people get really wrong. But what would be your number one pitfall that you see organisations doing?
Probably nothing that we haven't really covered off. I'm much for trying to keep things really, really simple. So keep those change freezers in, keep an eye on those external devices, especially those that are doing remote access. Uh, I want everybody to have a really simple and safe Christmas. From another thought as well, from likes of OEMs that might have connections into your plant that you're not managing. Again, just be careful that that isn't part of their change control. The plant's down. It's reasonably quiet. We'll do our work whilst you're away on your festive break. You don't want to come in on the 27th or whenever you return back to work and find something has gone down.
Or worse,
Just
say
be
you don't want that call on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. You've got to come in and fix it
no,
because it's not Nobody wants that.
No, absolutely. Totally don't want to do that.
Yeah. And well, I'm going to finish off with a bonus question for you. What you get me for Christmas this year?
Uh, that's a good question. I haven't really thought about it.
Not started
And
shopping yet.
yeah, apart from the shopping, and do you know what? If I told you on this video, then
It'd
it
ruin the
wouldn't be a
surprise.
surprise, would it?
Ah,
It would ruin a surprise.
didn't think of
Absolutely.
that. Well, Lee, I really appreciate your time. I always drop these things on your last minute, and this was just kind of stemmed from one of our ad hoc weekly conversations about random things that we talk about. I mean, this is I think it'd be really good for us to kind of do an unscripted podcast or something at some point in the future because when we go rambling, we seem to hit upon these little nuggets of golden information and kind of really interesting discussions, and I think it'd be great to share those with a wider audience as well. So I will leave in peace. I appreciate you at the end of a training day, and you're probably eager to get off home and get yourself ready for tomorrow and finish up. So thank you for your time, mate, and I will see you next time you're
No
in the
problem
office.
at all.
All right, buddy. Take
Awesome.
care, mate.
Thanks very much,
Take
Chris.
care, mate.
Take care.
Bye bye.
Cheers. Bye bye.